Hello, everybody. Good morning again. This is your lecturer, Dr. Mustafa Muhammad, and this is lecture 6, where we are going to address digital business infrastructure, mainly mobile computing and virtual reality. In the first part of this week's lecture, which is lecture number 5, we addressed the internet infrastructure and the cloud computing infrastructure. In this one, I'm going to talk to you mainly about how these things would work, mobile computing and virtual reality. I will tell you my own personal experience as a consultant in developing mobile apps and virtual reality apps, and a little bit more about how we can develop them and then the infrastructure lines of these two domains or applications. So, when it comes to developing mobile apps, I mean, we all know that mobile phones now became the magical toy in everybody's hand. We spend more time on mobile phones than we do in anything else. But it also helps incorporating work emails and communication, social life and social communication, training, exercise, rituals and religious things you can do using your mobile phone. Many things you can do using your mobile phone. So when it comes to the way the infrastructure works, before you go ahead with the infrastructure, you need to think on this life cycle. The life cycle approach of developing mobile apps assumes that first, let's say you want to develop a dating app. So this dating app would include a specific culture, a specific language, a specific market segment of people. Are we talking about singles? Is it just a simple dating or marriage website? And you need to analyze different things, mainly the human activity analysis or the human needs analysis. This is what you need to do. And then you develop a sort of code or blueprint for your client, and you tell him or her, okay, if you want to develop this dating app, this is how much does it cost. And later on, I'm going to talk to you about, is it a native mobile app, web-based or hybrid mobile app? Because it depends how much would it cost, how much would we pay for the internet service provider, how much would we pay for the app store itself. Are we talking about Android service or Apple or iCloud service? So it depends. You will do a mock-up, a sort of blueprint, initial testing, and then you create the app and you have it in a sort of wider testing stage. Once it's done, accepted, you would release it. But this is not the end of the story, because as you go, you might require maintenance, you might find mistakes, gaps in terms of interface steps 1, 2, 3, missing information, processing time is heavy. So this is a life cycle that you need to consider before you go ahead with the so-called infrastructure. Once you do this, and this is what we covered last week, is that there is a sort of information architect, what type of data and information that need to be processed. What works for dating app wouldn't work for food delivery, like Uber Eat or Just Eat or any Deliveroo or any of these applications. You need to think about the interface. Are we talking about elderly people? So elderly people will fancy more text than visuals. Do we have disability? People with disability, maybe you would require voice command interface. People who have, blind disability or other problems, what would you use to enable them to use this interface? So it makes complete difference as you go. But these are the initial stages of developing mobile app and thinking about the infrastructure. The interaction design itself. Now, are you adopting a simple design? Because there are human recognition elements that you need to consider. For example, would this interface enable the users to learn more and go to different affiliated apps and affiliated websites? Would it do like go compare about different subscription types and prices and timing and access tools? All of these elements regarding the interaction design need to be considered. The user experience, business visibility, how much would it cost? How would you finance it? Would you do a sort of crowdsourcing? Would you start with your own money and then find a sponsor? So once you secure a good number of subscribers or users, you can go then and sell this app to another person or negotiate partial partnership and partial funding. And as you go, as you grow with the number of users and the visibility of using this and a friendly use, it will increase the desirability of this app, which means you can even host some commercials. So many corporations who would love to post some mobile commercials using your app. You shouldn't ignore when you develop a mobile app the platform. Is it Android or a sort of iPhone mobile app? It makes a huge difference in terms of the interface, the layout. What sort of sketching would you do? What sort of coloring would you do? The licensing is quite important. Different operating systems have different licensing requirements. Another important element when you develop a mobile app is to consider that it's not just a touch. It needs to be informative mobile app that tells you as a developer how the users are engaging with your app. It gives you analytics options, so you can get to know the number of sessions, how much time the users spent, average time duration, what are their preferred times, what are the types of platforms. Are they using Android or iPhone or similar things? If they do purchase something, so if this is sort of mobile commerce app, you need to enable specific functions that tells you about their purchasing behavior. All of these things need to be considered, not just for you as a developer, but also for a personalization strategy that gives the end user a hint or a feeling of companionship, that this app is about you, is for you, knows you. This is another thing that you need to consider when you develop mobile app. For my personal experience, I used to have MIT App Inventor, which a simple one that you feel free to go and watch YouTube on how to use this one. It is very easy that you can incorporate visuals and voice sound things, and in a few minutes you can design an interface and get it in your mobile phone. So it would work in your laptop or PC, but then you will find the results in your mobile phone. You will post it to your mobile phone through a link, and then once you install this, you will see the interface. You can have this like a rabbit, a moving rabbit, a hat with the rabbit coming from inside. You can have lots of visuals and interactive animations. Though there are different platforms, this one is free. This is why I've been using it. And I used it definitely to develop M-Pesa, which is mobile money app that I demonstrated last week, and I might use it again for next week. So as simple as this, you might start not with MIT App Inventor. You can just start with a paper and pencil and imagine what sort of data would be there for each interface. Interface 1, maybe sign in or sign up. Interface 2, 3, 4, and they have scenarios for what type of interfaces and how the end user would engage with it. Now, end user would be one of your operators, customer service operators. You as a developer maybe end user or customer. So you need to differentiate different interfaces for each level of users. Okay, so you move it from a sort of pen and paper style to a wireframe that you can use, that you can develop using Adobe. You can use it through MIT App Innovator or Inventor. There are many ways that you can use to design the interface. You can take this further after you graduate or later on summertime to get to know how to develop mobile apps. This is one of my projects where I've been developing a mobile app for Stratford team. This is how I built a scenario. So the first interface tells you the match states or statistics, the players' statistics, and different other details. So once you subscribe, you become one of their fans, and you get to know what's going on. It's a Manchester leading online record store. There are other actually football clubs are part of this. If you try to download Salford Devils, I was also involved in developing this app, and FootyFit. So Salford Devil and FootyFit are sort of sister apps that been helping fans of Man United and Man City and Stratford team to go ahead and engage in a sort of virtual pleasure and virtual exercise and being football community. This is what it's all about. You can buy discounted t-shirts, discounted products of these football clubs. You can engage virtually with the players and get to know about their lives, what they really feel. You get to know early tactics about the match and other things. So the app or mobile app infrastructure, the key infrastructures, there are three types of infrastructures here. Native app, which is developed in your mobile phone, you can download it, and it doesn't require web interaction or web connection. A web app and a hybrid app, which is mix between the web and a native one. This is the same for a tablet because it's still a mobile machine. Laptop is still mobile, so not necessarily just a mobile device. So the native mobile application is high quality user experience. This is what it provides you, a full device access. It's not conditioned by web connectivity. It's platform specific, requires unique expertise, expensive a little bit to develop and maintain because you host it for different devices, different types of devices. Yes, but you think of, for example, HSBC mobile app, any mobile banking app that you have, it is different than internet banking in your mobile phone. The internet banking is mainly web enabled. So mobile web apps is different. For example, Google, Wikipedia, you can download these apps, but they only work if you are connected to the internet. YouTube app, all of these apps, you can download it in your device, but it only works if you are connected to the web. JavaScript is another developing and programming language or technique to develop mobile app, but this is mainly for web-based mobile apps that helps user interface to be developed quite smoothly. This is more unified, so there is a space of customization over your interface or end user interface will be limited, though the native one is highly customized because you frankly download it to your own device. The hybrid mobile app combines best of both worlds, so it helps you to have offline version and online version as you wish, primarily written in HTML, 5 language, CSS and Java script language as well, and hybrid of different languages together, while allowing full access to device capabilities and the online capabilities. It has high level of customization as well. So we've spoken about the first element of lecture 6, which is actually the third element of the overall week. So before in lecture 5 we've spoken about the internet infrastructure, and then cloud computing infrastructure and mobile computing infrastructure. Now we are moving to the fourth element, which is augmented reality and virtual reality. One of my projects that I've spoken to you about before is the Museum Eye, where you can go to Tahrir Museum or other Egyptian sectors in the British museums, and you can have more interactive conversation with the mummies, with the Egyptian kings, their history, their families, and you can get to see both of the virtual world and physical world. So what is augmented reality? It's a field of computer research that deals with a combination of real world and computer generated data. The computer generated data would enhance your feelings and experience, especially if you don't really like what you have in real world. So if your physical reality is poor because feeling conscious or limited data, you can enhance it using computer generated data. This is an example of one of these cars that we developed a special augmented reality front screen for this car, and this is how the driver can see the contents in front of him. So he can see the real people moving in front of him or her, and can see far ahead what is there. There is a car automotive maintenance branch. There is a camera for security and the speed limit. There are other things up front. The climate, the weather, everything around it could be seen using this augmented reality. So, as we spoke in last week, when we hinted towards augmented reality and virtual reality, we need to have these three elements. Computer that have data that creates sort of virtual perceptions and virtual images. Humans who face real physical experience, and you need to get to know about it so you can enhance the human-computer interaction. They have this conventional reality, and then this environment, which is the physical reality and the perception, need to create a better environment, enhanced or advanced environment, and this is the so-called mixed reality in the core. If I am to give you a sort of typology for augmented reality and versus virtual reality, Milgrams has one of these, most famous typologies, and you will find more details in the references, so you can download his papers and go further. He assumes that you have two extremes: tangible user interface, something like you go to for ATM, you go for a bank branch and you ask the banker. You have on the other extreme virtual reality, which is mainly you live in a completely virtual life, but there are two stages in between. The augmented virtuality, where you have real information to be added into the computer. So you have 3D sensors, you have scanners, and input or export a cartoon and virtual character of reality into the machine. And then you can keep dealing with it as a piece of art, 3D printing, 4D printing, other things. Augmented reality is actually you bring the computer generated information to the real world to enhance the user experience and help them to develop further. they have this spatial augmented reality where there need to be a connection between the virtual landscape and the physical landscape. So I would say the Museum Eye applications that I have done and developed with Rami, and you can read our paper and the references, it is in this area, augmented reality and spatial augmented reality. Definitely, in each of these types, you have different types of reality. So here, virtual reality, you have either immersive reality, which uses either head-mounted display, as you see here, or projectors. So applications of this have been in games, in video games, in arching, in fighting, applications for soldiers and other things. Or it could be semi-immersive, so you might have a mix of these displays together at the same time. Each of these types would have different devices of display and different devices of inputs. So if I am to give you different variety of devices, for example, augmented reality, this is what we've been using actually in our project. One of them is Microsoft HoloLenses, which is a sort of 3,500 American dollars set. You bought these glasses and you can have a mix of both. You can see the real thing and the virtual thing. Google glasses are a bit cheaper, definitely cheaper than Microsoft HoloLenses, and more flexible. It's open source. You can keep downloading stuff. As you go here in different level of reality, you will find different types of brands, which me and Rami been keen to put together in one of our published papers. So go and read about these things and maybe try them in your future if you wanted to do a sort of any virtual reality application for your business. I personally did human resources application for this, where you can train new employees in a bank. So once they put the glasses, they will see a person, a tough one, a rude one maybe, talking to them and how they behave against this situation. If they have an angry customer, how they deal with their managers, how they report things. Different competencies tests that have been developed. Far many differences in terms of tourism, in terms of crowd and travel experience. So you can see how your hotel looks like before you go ahead. Different applications that enriches your experience as end user and businesses, efficiency and effectiveness. This is a list of all the smart glasses in the market. Actually, at the moment, you might need, before you go ahead, you need to read about these smart glasses, and everyone would require different operating system, different software. Not all of them would work from a cloud-based thing. Some of them would need to be connected to a Wi-Fi. So yes, every one of them is a sort of hardware that requires different communication and software requirements. Okay guys, so I wish you enjoyed this one. This is lecture number 6 that tells you about mobile computing infrastructure and virtual reality and augmented reality infrastructure. Feel free to go and explore these things. Again, we are not expecting you to be computer engineers or have technical expertise, but because you will be business managers and business people, so you need to get to know these technologies. Once you have the chance for a business application, you get to know which one is the right one, how much does it cost, and you can talk to the technicians, and you can discover if they have any tricks, any things, so you can get to know what is in their mind because you have some initial knowledge about it. These are the key readings, and I would love to answer any of your questions. Feel free to email me or the module tutor, and you have a lovely week enjoy your learning journey. Thank you.